Hello everyone, welcome to LTEC 623 Digital Video Design Session 9. In this video, we're going to cover three things. First, we're going to review feedback from the mid-semester evaluation. We're going to examine Dan's talking head video. And finally, we'll discuss a few useful resources for working with WeVideo. So let's get started. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I did want to share with you the results from the mid-semester course evaluation. And for the most part, your feedback is positive. Thank you very much. The majority of you said the course videos are clear and organized. Most of you said that you thought the readings helped you understand the course content. You felt the assignments contribute to your understanding of the course. In terms of the pace of the course and whether or not the pace is just right, there was a little bit of disagreement related to that. In hindsight, I wish I had asked whether or not you thought the class was too fast or too slow, to give people an opportunity to elaborate on that point. One of the questions asked whether or not you found this class very difficult. And you can see here we're getting a little bit of a split. About 35% of you answered neutral or agree to this question, which tells me that some folks in the class, and this isn't that surprising, thinks that what we've been covering and the pace at which we've been covering it is fairly difficult. And most of you said you would recommend this class to someone else. That's good for me to know. Now here's where it gets interesting. I asked all of you what your preference was for the second half of the semester. And interestingly, we see basically a bimodal response. We have 55% of you saying we prefer to stick to the plan and create 4 videos, whereas we have 45% of people saying I prefer to slow down and create 3 videos instead of 4. I'm taking in this feedback and focusing on how we can try to accomplish both, actually slow down and work our way through this first video a little bit slower, then perhaps speed up in a natural fashion for the subsequent videos. And then we also see a split response on, do you plan to use WeVideo for your video editing? We have 25% of you said yes, definitely, but 55% of you said you're not sure. You have other options, but you want to see what WeVideo can do. And so that's the experience we're having with Video Project 1, is because we're really starting to look at WeVideo. Okay, so obviously I've listened to your feedback, and given that several of you raised some concern about the pace and the fact that the course is difficult, I did decide to extend Video Project 1 by 1 week. And in hindsight, I think that totally makes sense. This is our first video production that we're doing together. And so we're going to spend another week in post-production. And as soon as I made that announcement, I heard from 4 or 5 of you over email saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. That was the right thing to do. So I appreciate that feedback. That's helpful for me. And then depending on how this next week goes, then we'll make a decision about how to use the remaining 7 weeks. All right, so let's talk a little bit about my example talking head video. If you haven't seen it already, it's posted on WeVideo. This is my example of Video Project 1. And I wanted to give you a concrete example so you have something to shoot for. I'm not going to play it here because you can go ahead and watch it on your own time. It's linked to in Canvas. Now, I want to talk a little bit about editing video. And for some of you, this is the first time you've ever edited video. And one thing that I want to emphasize, and the fact that we actually extended the assignment a week, speaks to the fact that video editing actually takes time. I worked on this for multiple hours, and I also did it across sittings. I didn't sit down and do it all at one sit down. So when you actually are in WeVideo or whatever video editing software, the timeline area, what you see down here at the bottom, that is going to be your main workspace. You're going to be spending a lot of time there. And that's really where you orchestrate and tie everything together, all of the assets. And you're going to be zooming in and out, adding tracks, taking things away. And so you'll be spending a lot of time there. Now, I wanted to give you some insight into how I structured my timeline. So here's a close-up of the timeline, and you can see that I have There's all kinds of audio, there's still pictures, there's video, there's text overlays. And in fact, I actually used 4 tracks for my video. 2 of those tracks were dedicated to visuals, and 2 of those tracks were dedicated to audio. So let's walk through those. So the track here at the bottom was my voiceover. Some of the audio I detached from my video recording, and I used that as narration over corresponding slides. My second track was another audio track, and this was for the background music. And you can see here, it starts out, it fades in, it plays kind of loudly for 4 or 5 seconds, and then it fades down to about 20%, because I want the viewers to be able to hear my voice when I'm speaking. Arguably, the main track is the video track, and this is where I had stock footage from WeVideo. I also had images of the school and Google Maps, and then I also had my video footage that I shot in my do-it-yourself studio located here. And you can see that I have that track expanded a little bit more, so you can see that it is actually video and audio. And then the fourth track up at the top here is for what I call overlays, text overlays and image inserts. And so I have a dedicated track just to track where those things are sitting. And this is how I broke down my sample video. So this might be an approach that you would want to use. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's a good way to do it. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention to you is at times I actually inserted a 5th track just for the rule of thirds. That was just a graphic I created, and I wanted some sort of reference to help line things up. Now, more sophisticated video editing software will actually allow you to turn on these guidelines. WeVideo doesn't have that feature, but you can easily insert a graphic, and in fact, I'm going to post this graphic to Canvas in case you want to use it. You can just import it into your project and layer it over just like this, and this can be a helpful reference for you to use. Of course, when I published my video, I got rid of that track because I didn't want those lines showing up in my actual video. Now, I've had some time to watch my videos, and I want to show you a couple of errors, or I want to speak to a couple of things that I'd like to fix if I was to continue working on this. So, error number 1 actually happened when I was recording my video, and you can see right here that I'm looking at the camera. Now, it's kind of faded out. I tried to hide the fact that I was looking at the camera by putting in a transition here. But I'm quote-unquote breaking the fourth wall by kind of looking over at the camera to make sure the camera's recording. I'm supposed to be looking off kind of diagonally from left to right. But of course, here I'm breaking that quote-unquote fourth wall. That's something I would like to fix. My second mistake, not filling the canvas. I didn't realize this as I was editing, but when I actually watched the final video, you can see over here on the right that actually the picture doesn't fill up the whole canvas. And so you're seeing a little bit of fuzz over there on the side. Again, not a big deal. Some people might not even notice it, but people with a trained eye are definitely going to see that. And that's going to speak to production quality. Another mistake or something that I would want to fix is, for some reason, this particular picture has a crazy tint, this kind of blue-purple tint. I didn't intend that to happen, and I didn't notice it while I was working in the timeline editing things. But when I actually published my video, all of a sudden I realized it. So I need to go back into WeVideo and play with some of the hue and tint tools to make sure that this is just rendering in pure black and white, which was a stylistic choice on my part. And finally, this is the most important thing. I realized in hindsight that I didn't pay attention to quote-unquote safe area guidelines. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, safe areas are conventions that have been defined to make sure that whatever is in the video frame actually shows up on people's television screens. And for lots of technical reasons, what you actually see on television varies depending on the brand of your television, the size of your television, and actually some of the software settings of your TV picture. And so for that reason, the industry has defined some rules of thumb, or what they call safe areas, to make sure that whatever content needs to be seen is actually seen on the majority of televisions. This is becoming less and less important because more and more people are watching video online. Because of that, things are more and more standardized. However, if you think your video is going to be seen or ever shown on a television, this is something to pay attention to. Now, you can see that there's 3 sets of lines here. The blue line is just the outer edge of the video screen. And I am just speaking to high definition here, so 1280 by 720. That's the blue line, so that's every pixel in your screen. The white dotted line is actually the safe action area. The safe action area is anything that you think is important for the users to see in terms of action in your video footage needs to happen inside that white dotted line. And that white dotted line is actually 93% of the 1280 by 720. And then, most importantly, the red line is the safe title area. And the safe title area is if you want text to show up and be visible, it needs to be inside of this safe title area. And the safe title area is actually 90% of the high definition resolution. So let's take a look at this in practice. So WeVideo knows that there are actually safe areas. And so when I used one of the pre-existing titles provided by WeVideo, you can see the text is within that red box. It's within that safe title area. So no problem there. But I ran into trouble when I was working on my photo inserts. And what you can see here is that my photo inserts actually violate the safe area. It's a little bit too high and a little bit too far to the right. So if you were to watch this on a television, even if that television is high definition, some of that information is going to be cut off. So what I need to do is go back into WeVideo and make sure that I resize this appropriately and get it positioned so that it's showing up inside the safe areas. Now, I'm going to provide you with this graphic with a transparent background so you can import it into WeVideo and use it as a guideline. And again, like the rule of thirds, more sophisticated video editing software actually allows you to turn on these references. So something to keep in mind. Okay, I want to close out by just emphasizing that there are WeVideo tutorials out there. So far, I've created 3 different tutorials for you to use. There's another good one called How to Use WeVideo by Jen Johnson on YouTube. That is about 9 minutes long, and she shows you a bunch of features and takes you all the way to publishing a video. And then finally, you want to check out WeVideo Academy. Just do a search, and they have all kinds of short 1, 2, 3 minute tutorials on how to use different features inside WeVideo. Okay, everyone, that's all for today. Have a good week. I'll see you online.